congrats on cooking up a win on PBS's competition show. Not a bad little win there for a New York realtor, huh?
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was definitely such a fun experience, and honestly such a surprise to ultimately make it to the end and to get the trophy at the end of the experience.
Yeah, I was so happy for you. How excited are you to have now your recipe on the cover of the Great American Recipe Cookbook?
So thrilled. So I actually just got the cookbook a few days ago, and I've not even had a chance to look through it, but just seeing my recipe right front, front and center was really awesome. And it's also inspiring me to say, hey, maybe I want to make my own cookbook one day. So that's definitely something that might be in the works. But yeah, it's super neat.
I'm interested in that. Absolutely. How excited were you to have to sit down and choose what recipes you were going to present on the show? I mean, I'm assuming it took a lot of work to kind of sit back and be like, what recipes define me? What do I want to share with America? And what do I think is going to, wow the judges and wow everyone else? So, what was the process of that?
Oof. I mean, first of all, it was definitely a process, and there wasn't a lot of time between knowing like, hey, you're on the show to hey, like we're starting production. So there was like a 2 week period to figure everything out, and of course, if you're like figuring out, you have to pack your bag for a month, wrap up work stuff, and then also plan out what you're going to cook, how you're going to cook it. But I think the biggest thing was, I really wanted to represent my Jewish Sephardic heritage, and a lot of the foods that we make take many hours to prepare. But I wanted to still figure out how to make those on the show. So figuring out how to make a 3 hour recipe into a 1 hour challenge was really challenging. And but I'm like, hey, I'd rather take the risk and potentially go home than playing it safe and just doing recipes that aren't necessarily telling my story.
Well, how did you get involved in the show in the first place? What was your audition process like? How did the opportunity come your way?
Yeah, so I have a Cook with Brad Instagram account, and the PBS casting team slid into my DMs,
Ooh.
and they said, "Hey, we think you'd be a great fit for this show." And immediately I was like, "Hey, this sounds like a scam, so no, thank you." I didn't even respond, and they kept badgering me until finally I responded, and I realized it wasn't a scam. And even then, I was like, "Hey, I'm not really looking to do something in reality TV." Um, but then I kind of thought about it. I'm like, if this is what the universe is saying I should be doing, I'm like, listen, maybe let's give it a shot. And I went along the road of the process and found out I'm gonna get cast on the show, and I went with it.
Yeah, I thought the cast was fantastic, and it really opened people's minds to the diversity of America and the cuisine that we eat, because there is no one defining American cuisine because of our population. The show did
Melting
like
pot.
a grade A job of highlighting that our diverse population and the various cultures, the foods that we eat. American cuisine truly just is this melting pot that we hear so much about. And you, like you said, represented a very underrepresented community. You spoke for the Libyan Sephardic Jewish community, which we don't know often a lot about their food. So the meals you made just didn't represent your culture; it represented a lot of people who want to be represented on television. It taught me, at least the viewer, recipes and ingredients that were absolutely new to me. But outside of all of that, what did the experience mean to you?
It meant a lot. I think firstly it encouraged me to put myself in a very vulnerable position, just outside of even cooking in general, just putting myself out there, telling a story that I'm not necessarily comfortable telling, feeling, am I even the one that should be representing Libyan culture? So it's like, now I've elected myself, and am I even, going to do this justice? So I definitely had all those kind of fears in my head. But as soon as I actually got there, I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to give it my all. And that's what I did. And, it was such an incredible journey and experience. And, just really special. And I'm thrilled to have had, just the opportunity.
Well, I think your community is probably very happy that you were their spokesperson. Speaking of melting pots, was there any dish or maybe ingredient that you tasted from your fellow contestants that kind of opened your mind to other ideas that you might bring home to your own at home menus? Any kind of ideas melting into Brad's pot?
Yeah,
after
I
that.
mean, for sure. I think seeing everyone cook, it was truly inspiring because you're in this kitchen and you're so focused on your own thing, but like as much as I could, as much as time permitted, I definitely would always be peering around, kind of seeing what everyone else is doing. And the smells were incredible. And I think of all the cooks, I think Salma's food was the one that I was gravitating towards most. And I would taste her food and it was just so incredible. And I think she's so gifted with her ability to blend spices together and really kind of take so much and just make it all so beautiful together. But I definitely love her flavor profiles and I'm definitely inspired by them and hope to learn more. So I'm actually glad I have the copy of the cookbook so I could try some of her recipes out. But really, I think every single home cook that was there, brought something special to the table, something that I could, like learn from. And yeah, so we all like really brought it, and yeah, so I'm excited to try all the recipes and see from there.
I think that learning about culture, one of the easiest or maybe the most profound ways is sharing food, sharing, your spices, the recipes passed down from generation to generation. That's such a great way to say, this is me, who are you, And I thought the show did a great job of that. The pressure is always on, though, when we are talking about reality show cooking. You mentioned taking a 3-hour recipe, turning it into a 1-hour time spot. All that stress can kind of lead to some kind of wild moments. Last night in the finale, we had flaming paper towels. Were there any other kind of moments or challenges in the show that didn't make the air that you could share?
Yeah, I mean, I think firstly, I actually had something go on fire too in one of the episodes, and luckily that wasn't aired. And for me, like I had a tray of food that was just like engulfed in flames, and I ran across. We didn't have sinks at our station, but I ran across to the sink area and threw the thing in there, and it was fine. Obviously it did make the cut, and they saw me cooking on the floor, which was not one of my finer moments. But again, in the stress of the moment, we had really small stations, and I was just doing so many things at once, and I just things were piling up and piling up. I just had no more real estate to use, and coming from New York, where every square inch is so vital, I'm like, hey, the floor is totally legitimate. People in New York will use our bathtubs to do dishes if we have to. So it's like, I'm like, okay, here's a perfect work surface. And obviously the judges weren't too keen on that. Um, but yeah, so I think listen, we all had our ups and downs, and myself included. But I think that's what made the experience all that more fun and exciting.
Yeah, it was great to watch. We saw you make the Libyan gold standard dish, the national dish, mafrum, correct? Mafrum?
Yep.
Yes, and you look so happy and proud to share it with the judges and your fellow contestants. And thinking back, though, to your start in the kitchen, what was the first meal that you made that you felt proud of yourself and really ignited your need or want or interest in cooking? Was it that dish or was it something else?
You mean like just in general, like in
In
my
general, like when you
life?
first started getting interested and that first meal you make, when you work so hard and it comes out perfect and you're so proud of it, kind of it ignites that love of cooking, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pinpoint a specific dish, but certainly I would say mushroom is top three in that realm. Firstly, we growing up, we would only really savor and make that dish for really special occasions because it's a huge labor of love, and it's also a lot of frying, a lot of mess. So my mom would hate us doing it in the house because the whole house would smell of mushroom for a month, and it would just be such a disaster and such a project. But then after you like have it all ready and done, it just tastes so delicious, and you just feel so accomplished. So certainly that's definitely one of the things that I would make growing up that kind of ignited my passion for food.
Well, speaking of your mom, as the show called her Mama Lynn,
Um,
Jerry Lynn was her name. You said she never let you cook that in her kitchen because of the mess and all of that. Now that you're a famous American recipe chef, is she going to let you cook that in the kitchen now? I mean, she has to, right?
He has to. I mean, certainly. I think there's a little bit more leeway with what I can get away with in her kitchen these days. So she's going to be hosting the upcoming Jewish holidays in September, and I'm definitely taking the lead with the cooking and the entertaining aspect of it. And I've already kind of started menu planning And at this point, I think she's just letting me do her thing as a good mom does. And she's just, going to bite her lip and just say, hey, I'm not, whatever mess it is, and let it go. And she's just so proud. So if the, if the kitchen gets a little greasy, she'll deal with it, and it's all good and all love.
Well, you said on the show a few times that she was part of your inspiration for cooking, your love of cooking. And in the finale, she was your sous chef, and it was great to see you guys together. What is the most requested dish that she makes? And have you been able to recreate it?
Ooh, that's a good one. My mom's such a gifted cook, and one thing that's so amazing about her is, she's an entrepreneur, and she's such a businesswoman and such a hustler, and just such an amazing, like, business person, and yet she finds the time to provide these beautiful meals for her family. And I don't know where she manages to every Friday for Shabbat dinner, produce these 5, 6 course meals, where she's working, 80, 90 hour weeks. So
Amazing.
really, 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 like, such a role model in that regard. All her food, I think, is hard to compete with, but she really is really gifted with soup making. So I love her soups. So even when I do the holidays and I host, I'll always let her do the soup, because she just has like a really, like, I don't know, like a delicate touch with like spices, and just like, especially with soup where it's kind of a delicate flavor profile often, and she just makes it really special and delicious.
I love that you have such a close relationship with your mom. We got to see that on TV. I have to talk about my favorite dish that you made on the show, and that was schnitzel and fried eggplant sandwich. It made me drool. It looked so incredible. And it was kind of straddling that guilty pleasure versus comfort food line. And so I have to ask, what's your favorite comfort food or guilty pleasure to eat?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, that's probably my favorite thing to eat. So I just spent a month in Israel, and Israel has like the best food. And obviously, schnitzel on a challah bread sandwich with eggplant is such a Israeli kind of food. But they also have more fine dining and refined dining. But I guess I have a child's palate, because I could just eat a schnitzel sandwich forever and just be like such a happy camper. So certainly, I think that's up there with my guilty eats. Yeah, it's my favorite. I could eat it every single day.
I could eat that every single day too. It looked fantastic. So, who did you grow closest with in the cast on the show?
Oh, wow, that's a hard one. We're really tight knit as a group. We have a group chat, and we chat every single day. Um,
Do you
you know,
trade recipes still?
we do. It's funny because, like, I've never had foodie friends before, so I'll be at the grocery store and excited about some random ingredient that I find in the grocery store, and talking about, like, whatever dumb nuance, thing I find in my cooking journey. So I think that's exciting. In terms of specific people that I've really grown attached to, it's hard to say, because I have so much love for everyone. But I think Abby is like my Jewish mom on the show, and I've seen her a couple times since we finished airing the show, and she's just so lovely, and she's so funny. I also love Keela, who is incredibly funny and so sweet and so nurturing, and she was like my other Jewish mom on the show. Also, my fellow finalists Liana and Salma. I think we're actually all from New York. We're all New Yorkers, so I think there's like that common bond there. But yeah, really everyone, Ted and Rel and Maria. We're just such a tight knit group that, I was so lucky to have been, on a show with such amazing people.
And you sort of all went through this amazing experience together, and you have so many things in common food wise. I'd imagine those relationships will continue throughout the years. So, what's next for you, Brad? Do you have anything upcoming cooking in the oven, so to speak, projects that we can look out for?
Yeah, I'm figuring it out. So I think that I would love to pursue something in food. I'm just trying to figure out where in food could pay my bills. So a few weeks ago I did a pop-up dinner. I took over a restaurant for the first time and did, a beautiful tasting menu, and it was a sold out event, and it was great. So certainly, hopefully, to do more things like that. Would love to make a cookbook. I'd love to do more things with TV. I would love to maybe do private dinners and things for people. So, I'm trying to figure all those things out, and kind of put my feet in the water in a lot of different things, and kind of see what feels right, where I belong in the food world, but certainly, hopefully, to continue the journey in food.
Well, pop-up dinner is really hot in New York, and I feel like you'll do great with that. And it also kind of gives you a taste of what it's actually like to leave your kitchen and then cook for lots of diners, people that have various palates, things that they like, things that they don't like. It's a completely different ball game than
And
just
also,
inviting your friends over.
100%. And also, like, your friends are going to your house for free. Like, when people are paying a lot of money to come and sit and enjoy your meal, I think that when people are paying so much money, you want to make sure that they're enjoying the experience. So there's definitely that pressure. And then you're in a new kitchen, in a new space, in a commercial setting. So it's just a different world than cooking at home. But I thrive on challenges, and so I really really enjoyed it, and hopefully there'll be more like that in the future.
I hope so too. I'd love to attend one. What
Yeah.
would you like to say to all the new fans that you made during the show, especially the community that you were representing? I'm sure that they were very happy to see their food and their culture represented on television. What would you like to say to everyone?
I wanted to say, but like, I think oftentimes people get sucked into the social media world, and they see all these content creators making these dishes and making these things, and you kind of feel like, oh, my food's not good enough, or my whatever. It might not just be food related, it might be anything in life. It's not good enough. But I think if you stay true to who you are, and follow what feels right to you and authentic to you, people will resonate with that. So I think that was kind of my focus on the show, is staying true to myself, staying true to my story, staying true to my food, and I think that's what drove me to success.
I think you did a great job. The win was worthy, although I think everyone did a fantastic job. I was kind of torn at the end who I wanted to see because everyone did such a great job.